Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Bhaja Govindam verses 16 to 20.
अग्रे वह्नि पृष्ठे भानुः रात्रौ चुबुक समर्पितजानुः करतलभिक्षस्तरुतलवासः तदपि न मुञ्चत्याशापाशः कुरुते गङ्गासागरगमनं व्रतपरिपालनमथवा दानम् ज्ञानविहीन सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन सुरमन्दिरतरुमूलनिवासः शय्याभूतलमजिनं वासः सर्वपरिग्रहभोगत्यागः कस्य सुखं न करोति विरागः योगरतो वा भोगरतो वा सङ्गरतो वा सङ्गविहीनः यस्य ब्रह्मणि रमते चित्तं नन्दति नन्दति नन्दत्येव भगवद्गीता किञ्चिदधीता गङ्गाजललवकणिका पीता सकृदपि येन मुरारिसमर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा.
Up to shloka number 13 is attributed to the Guru Adi Shankaracharya, and 14 till 27 the shlokas are given by each of his disciples. One shlokas are given by them, and then 28 to 31, the last 4 shlokas of Bhaja Govindam, again given by Adi Shankaracharya, blessing the students to get back to the self. Now we have seen 14 and 15 shlokas last week. In 14, he talks about pseudo sannyasi. In 15, he talks about the one who is indulging in life. See, ultimately, what is in between us and our true nature, which is the divinity? Our desires. So Vedanta says you got to rise above the desires. And what is the root cause of desires? The root cause of desires is ignorance of our true self. Vedanta says your true self is divinity, infinite, paripurnatvam, completeness. You lack nothing. You are complete. But you do not know that today. Because of this ignorance of your true self, you imagine yourself to be incomplete. As a result of this false imagination that you are incomplete, your thoughts run from you to the world outside to acquire the objects of this world so that you feel complete. You understand? So therefore, the thoughts, when they run, it's called desires. And they become thicker and thicker, it becomes nothing but desire. So what is obscuring the self within the desires? So we need to rise above the desires, which means we need to rise above the ignorance. What is the antidote for ignorance? Knowledge. Without knowledge, whatever you do is not going to help. This is what they want to say. Without knowledge of the self. So all other practices which are given in the Shastras, which has been traditionally followed, they are all for purification process only. Purifying the subtle body, the mind. You understand? So Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata. The mind thus well prepared will be able to absorb the knowledge. Therefore, all the practices, rituals, pilgrimages, whatever it may be, it is all meant for this purpose only, nothing else. So, all the disciplines they tell you to maintain, whether it is Bahiranga or Antaranga, whatever it may be, the sadhanas, whether internal or external, it is all meant for quietening the mind, purification of the mind, nothing else. And then you can absorb the knowledge. Now, without understanding this, without really understanding that rising above my ego, I will become the self. A person for the sake of the ego survival will put on a show. Akar robe. Akar robe is in orange color, which represents fire, knowledge of fire, or fire of knowledge rather. So the fire of knowledge burns the ignorance born ego. That is the symbolism. So when a person is de-identified from the ego, that person has no concern over the body, mind, etc. That unconcernedness is what is the outcome of knowledge. But a lot of people put on a show for the sake of survival. They are pseudo-sannyasins. They are not true sannyasins. True sannyasin will have tremendous confidence, like we discussed in the previous class. Tremendous confidence in the laws of life, in the divinity itself. So therefore, here he is talking about a person who's impersonating. He's an impersonator. He's an hypocrite. He's just putting on a show for the sake of belly, he says. One with matted locks, one with head shaven, one with hair pulled out one by one, disguised variously with akar robes, a fool though seeing, not seeing. It is not in the outward show, it is in the knowledge. That is the most important thing. The moment you have knowledge, you will be unconcerned. Otherwise, you will be indifferent, or you will be putting on a show like this. Indifference is not true sannyasi. You understand? It's not unconcernedness. Indifference springs from ignorance, selfishness. Whereas unconcernedness springs from knowledge. So therefore, a person who is so much concerned about the reality is definitely not concerned about the false projection. That is different. That is why you find sannyasins either growing hair or completely shaven. The focus should be mostly in the truth. Therefore, but not realizing this, just in the external level they are there. Though seeing, not seeing, indeed the varied disguise is for the sake of belly. A fellow also has come up to external level but failed to see the reality. Another fellow, what he talks about in verse number 15, that person is indulging. Body has become decrepit. Head has turned grey. Mouth rendered toothless. Clasping a staff. Has become old now. The old man moves about, yet the mass of desires leaves not. Desire will not leave through indulgence, nor will it leave through denial. Desire will drop when you rise to the higher level through knowledge. You understand? Slowly you expose yourself to the knowledge of the self and you escalate your personality to a different level, higher level. Then the lower automatically falls away. That is called renunciation. Renunciation is not giving up. It is growing up. It is taking up. You take up the higher knowledge, you grow to the higher level, then the lower automatically falls away. You don't give up the lower. So you cannot fight with the desire, or you cannot say that I will indulge. And the more you indulge, what will happen? Due to so much of indulgence, body starts losing the capacity to enjoy over a period of time. But the mind starts developing more and more craving. It starts craving for more. Right? In the mind, the want is so much. But the physical body is become now, through indulgence, completely weak. Now it's not able to help you to enjoy. So what is the state when you are in the world? The objects are right in front of you. Mind is craving to enjoy, but the body cannot cooperate to make you enjoy. That state is called hell. So he says, the mass of desires leaves not. So there is no point in trying through indulgence. When you indulge, maybe temporarily you will be saying, enough here, I've had enough. But you will come back after some time. It's not going to be permanent. The idea is to rise above the desires, not to temporarily push it aside. That is not going to help you. So you must slowly, gradually grow towards the self. So therefore he says even indulgence will not help. Now in 16, he is going to talk about a person who lives with minimum. In a way he is depicting a person who is denying. Externally is denying, is forcing certain discipline upon himself. But again, without knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot realize the self. That is Adi Shankara's point. You do whatever you want physically, mentally, intellectually, but if you don't support it with the knowledge of the higher, you don't catapult to the higher state. Continue. Yes, you asked a question.
So, Guru, when you say knowledge, like when you get knowledge, the first thing you will do is start living a more disciplined life.
No, that is all sadhana. Life. Living disciplined life is all sadhana. Okay?
Yeah, sadhana. Yeah. Sadhana.
See, knowledge of the self, when you say, the Vedic declarations, you got to ponder over, reflect upon, and own up your true personality, which is Atma.
Okay.
Right? Now, you can either think of yourself as Jayashri, this limited individual, or you can think of yourself as Atma. If you think, it's not thinking of yourself as Atma, it is identifying. When you begin to identify yourself as Atma, Paripurnatvam, completeness, whatever you may do in life, you will be doing it as a master. Whereas today, without that knowledge, you are doing it as a slave. That transformation will not happen. Okay? So for that transformation to happen, you need to own up your true personality through the knowledge imparted by Guru Sishya Parampara traditionally. See, there are 4 means of gaining knowledge. 4 means are Pratyaksha Pramanam. Pramanam means. Pratyaksha Pramanam, which is direct means of gaining knowledge through direct perception. What is that? You don't know what an apple is. I show the apple to you. You see the apple. You now gain the knowledge of apple. Now you say, yes, I know what an apple is. Right? You contact with your tongue, you taste it, you get more knowledge about apple. Now all this is through perception, through contact with your senses. Then there is another means called Anumanam. Anumanam is inference. Common example given for inference is, you see smoke and then you understand there is fire inside. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Okay? So, you don't directly see fire, but you are able to infer fire from what you see. This is called Anumanam method. Inference. Then there is comparison. Upama or Upamanam, which is comparison. You don't know about something, They give you an example of something that you know and then compare certain qualities and traits of it with that unknown object and make you understand it. Right? Shivaji, Emperor Shivaji was a tiger. Means he was as strong and powerful and ferocious as tiger. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was called as an Iron Man. It doesn't mean that during summer he will melt or he will be so hot. Only certain aspects are comparable, not all aspects. You understand? So with that, you understand about the other object which you do not know. Now, all this will help you for things and beings of the world, to gain knowledge of the things of the world which you don't know, which can be known in future. But when it comes to Atma, you not only don't know now, it is something that you can never know in future also. It is not an object of comprehension. You cannot know the Atma like you know apple, like you know your body, like you know your mind, like you know your intellect. All these can be objectified, isn't it? But Atma, when you say, you're talking about your self, the very subject, the knower. How can you know the knower? You understand? You cannot put the knower, which is the subject, as an object and know it. So you can never know the subject intellectually. That's why we say Atma is that which enlivens the intellect, which cannot be conceived by the intellect. It is not what you conceive. I'll explain. Wait. It is not possible to know Atma intellectually because it is that which enlivens the very intellect to know anything. It is that which makes you conceive, not what you conceive. So, the only way you can come to realize the Atma, the subject, is through Shabda Pramanam or Agama, means traditional method. Shabda Pramanam means through words, through sound. Meaning traditionally the knowledge is passed on by the Guru to the Sishya. There is a certain method the Guru follows. Right? He or she takes you from the known to the unknown and make you understand that this is known, these are unknown, and this unknown can be one day known, but wherever you may know at any given point in time, there is the consciousness enlivening your knowledge as well as ignorance. That consciousness is beyond the known and the unknown. So like this, slowly there are different methods they follow, what we are talking about in the classes, and they make you reflect on the higher, and also they simultaneously make you understand the frivolous nature of the world, so that today the thoughts are running so much towards the world that dilutes. You stop losing the value slowly for the worldly objects and beings, and you keep your thoughts all the time reveling on the higher. So you basically have negated the non-self. Neti, not this. Okay? Having negated everything else, what finally remains? That is Atma. So through the traditional way, you realize the self after negating all the non-Atma. At the body level, at the mind level, at the intellect level, at thought level, everything. Then what remains? Only the consciousness. That is the divinity. That is your true self. So therefore, how to know? Knowing means what? Is it just attending classes? Just mechanically attending classes is also not going to help you. Shravana, listening, is one part. Then manana, reflecting, is another part. Then nididhyasana, which is repeatedly bringing out what you understood and reflecting over it so that you keep yourself soaked in it. You understand? So that the vasanas for the world slowly completely reduces. Then finally you bring yourself to one thought. The thought of divinity, realization of the self alone. Right? When you come to that thought, and again continue in this way, that thought's intensity also reduces. That final stage where that last thought dissolves, that is not your effort. You have to, through your effort, bring yourself to that last thought. How that last thought dissolves, that is not in your hands. You understand? That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja am tva sarva papebhyaha mokshayishyami ma suchaha. You bring yourself to that one thought and leave it to me, I will take care. The example we give is, you want to go to sleep at night. So from 6:30 onwards, you start preparing the room. You close the curtains, you switch on the AC around 9 o'clock, and you've eaten 2.5 hours before, etc., etc. You've done everything. Then by around 9:30 or so, the room is little bit cold. You go and lie down on the bed. Right? And obviously you have the thought of sleeping. But when exactly you lost the thought of sleeping and fell asleep, you can't say. You cannot be obsessed with that thought either. If you are obsessed with the thought, you will not be able to fall off to sleep. But without the thought, you can't fall off to sleep also. So you bring yourself to that and then leave it. So with that kind of a reflection over the pointers given in the Shastras, slowly you negate the world and its attachment. Right? And then what remains finally will be the consciousness. So therefore he says, without doing that, simply following that discipline per se also is not going to help you. So here in 16 he is talking about a person who is following things mechanically. In fact not mechanically, that is 17. Here it is denial, leading a very simple minimalistic living. A lot of people say minimalistic living. See, minimalistic living should be an effect. It cannot be the cause. It can be a conducive effect. If I have very little things which are required for me to pursue this life, then it's easy to maintain, so that most of energy can be focused on studying and imparting this knowledge, which is what I want to do full time. Now, supposing I have too many things acquired and I have it at home, maintaining that itself consumes a lot of time. Yes or no? So then where will I have time to do my sadhana and imparting knowledge and all that? Are you with me? Therefore, minimalistic living one should follow from that angle, fine. But along with that, you have to supplement it with knowledge. And that doesn't happen, it doesn't help. That's what he's talking about in 17. Let's chant that. 16th shloka.
Akre vanni prishte bhanuh ratrau chubuka samarpita januh karatala bhikshastarutala vasah tadapi namunchatyasha pashaha.
Fire in front, sun behind, knees stuck to chin at night, receiving arms in palms, which means what? He is not even owning begging bowl. Living under trees, he doesn't have a house, no Aadhaar card, nothing. Yet the band of desires leaves not, he says. Now, somebody who is practicing asceticism only externally. Now, the difference between this shloka 16 and 14 is, in 14 that person is impersonating. Here this person is not impersonating. He is genuinely leading a simple life. He is not doing it for the sake of belly, like he mentioned in 14. You get the difference. In 14, that fellow was doing it for the sake of belly. Here, this fellow is not doing it for the sake of belly at all. He is genuinely doing that. But what is he doing? He is leading a very simple, minimalistic life. Living under the tree means barest minimum. What to do? You are born as a human being, you need food, clothing, shelter. That basic, whatever is needed, you keep. Beyond all that is, see, remember this, simple living, high thoughts. Now with this fellow, there is only simple living. High thoughts is missing. That's the problem. You get it? In this shloka. So he says, yet the band of desires leaves not. How can the band of desire leave due to the lifestyle you follow? See, everything has to be properly understood in cause and effect relationship. The band of desires has not come because of your lifestyle. The band of desires have come because of your ignorance of that self. Isn't it? So therefore, just changing the lifestyle. Suddenly you said, oh, nothing. I will just give up everything and go and stay in an ashram. Some people have tried that also. They think overnight they'll give up everything and then go and lead a simple life. You get used to that also after 3-4 months. After 6 months. So after that, that will be boring. From here it looks very attractive. See, pendulum, when you see the clock, old clock which has pendulum, the pendulum swings from one side to another. When the pendulum is swinging towards the left, it is actually gathering momentum towards the right. Similarly, when the pendulum is swinging towards the right, it is gathering momentum towards the left. Isn't it? So similarly, when you are so much indulging and you have so much, too much, in fact, in your life, then you will be attracted to the opposite. Because the pendulum is swinging towards the left. Now it will be attracted to the right. You will be interested in a basic, simple living. I just want to go stay in some place, ashram. Now, after you live like that for a while, now you will be attracted towards this opulent way of living. Because the pendulum will swing. The mind will keep swinging. Are you with me? So, this oscillating mind, you need to rise above. How? That is only possible through the knowledge of the higher. That is missing in this fellow's case. Everything else is there. He has no home. He is sleeping under the tree. He is living on alms that he doesn't even have a begging bowl. Bare palms he begs and eats. He uses the heat of the sun and fire to keep himself warm. He tucks his knees to the chin to keep himself warm. And he's given up everything physically. But mentally he still has that possessive attitude. That is not mentioned. But you got to understand when he says the band of desires has not left. That is what is to be left. And that can only be left when you have knowledge. Without that it is meaningless. And therefore he says, in spite of all these lifestyle changes, when it is not supplemented with knowledge, it will not work. That is what he is trying to say here. Basically, this whole thought flow is that ultimately you need to have the knowledge. Along with that knowledge, if you have discipline, everything will help. But discipline alone will not help. Information alone will not help. Puja Path alone will not help. You got to bring in Nididhyasana, reflection and continued reflection over the higher for a long period of time till you develop vairagya towards the world and negate the non-self and assert the self mentally. When you come to that state where you are able to say neti, 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 and what remains is Atma. So, for that, if a simple life is conducive, please do follow. Rather, you should. But per se, it is no big deal. So, therefore, he says he is discarded all possessions, but the mind is full of desires, replete with desires. What to do? So, mere physical giving up is not going to help to eliminate the desire. If it was so simple, we could have just given away all our possessions. Next minute you would have realized the self. Does that happen? Inside you still have that, I had given it up. I had given it up. I. But giving up of the I, rising above the I, that is the difficulty. Na? That is the samsara. That is the root cause of samsara. The root cause of samsara is what? I. Mamatvam. Mamatvam is the root cause of samsara. Nirmamatvam is moksha. So, when will nirmamatvam come? Mamatvam means I-ness, me-ness, minus. That I-ness, minus, me-ness will go. When? Mine-ness will go. When? When you gain the knowledge of the self. See, just as an example I am saying, now, take for example, if we have extra, more than what is needed for our survival, we also know we have lots, with little less also we can happily live. In spite of it, when somebody is in need and they are asking you to help them, and one thought is that okay, let's give them. Other thought is, if you give it away, your portion will reduce. Now, if you have knowledge, at least in this context where you are already surplus, there's a little bit at the top you are giving. It's not going to make much of a difference, but yet it's something it's doing to you. What is that? From me it will go to them. Now if you understand the knowledge, if you see the whole picture, then you will see them also as the same self manifesting in different personality. So it's like in your kurta you have two pockets. Money has gone from one pocket to another. You have 10,000 rupees in your pocket, one side, left side, right side only 10 rupees. And if you put some 2,000 rupees from left pocket to right pocket, it's your only, na? Yours only. Your kurta only it is. From the left it is gone to right. A person with knowledge is able to do that comfortably. But we are finding it difficult. Why? From me it will reduce. Whatever is there in this world is for us to share and survive and ultimately help each other to gain that knowledge and become absolutely free. But without that, just hoarding, what is going to happen? This knowledge will not be there in an ignorant person. But if a person has done enough reflection, he will have that confidence. That mamatvam he or she is able to do tyag. The tyag it's a big word actually. What it means is the foolish, non-existent mama is given away once you gain the knowledge, understanding. It is not there. In fact, to say that I have given it away is foolish. You can only give away what is there. Actually, there is nothing. How to give it away? And there is nothing to give away. So therefore, ultimately it is the knowledge of the self that will conquer Right understanding about yourself alone will conquer the wrong understandings, the mamatvam, etc. Simple living can help you, but per se simple living alone cannot remove the samsara. Yes, Viniti, you have a question.
Yeah. So, Guruji, when you say that knowledge of the self can elevate our thinking and, we can reach closer to the self, but now the self is already, like you said, think of the other as the same as you. But there is so much fear when we think of the other. There is so much, we don't think of the other as ourselves. We do live in a lot of fear.
That's only up to a point. The moment you start reflecting, slowly you will come to that stage, I'm saying. Today you are in this stage, fine. But as the knowledge goes in, you will come to that stage. It won't be difficult for you. It is difficult for you now. But at that stage, it won't be difficult.
So where do we start? Because
you start.
There's many entanglements. If you even think of thinking of the other as ourselves.
Don't worry about anything. You start from where you are now. You follow your sadhana according to your capacity and continue gaining the knowledge. Do Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana as much as you can do. Right? With all the other sadhanas. Then slowly, you will say tata bye-bye to the non-self. Many things. Are you with me? Many things. You understand, yeah. At least you will start getting this doubt. Now you are so much clear in your head that you are Viniti, this body, this height, this weight, this personality, who is the mother, who is the daughter, who is the sister, who is the, all that. Right? Now, when you are exposed to this knowledge of Vedanta, where you are doing this, or help to do the self-analysis, when you are questioned as to when you say you are the body, you are also aware the experiences that is happening in the body. So you are able to see the body as an object. So you say my body. That means you are different from the body. Similarly, you are saying my mind. You are different from the mind. Similarly, you are saying my intellect. I am different from the intellect. So when you start reflecting, and then they talk about the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, all these analysis when you study in Vedanta, with a quiet mind relatively brought about through the sadhanas at the other level, what will happen? Earlier you were very clear that you are Viniti, this body complex, this body mind intellect complex. Now you will slowly say, yeah, I won't say it with the same kind of a conviction that I am just this Viniti, this personality. Kuch to hai. You understand? This itself is growth. What was so obvious is now, say, yaar, no. There seems to be something deeper. And thus when you continue reflecting all this and then start watching, slowly what happens in life is as you are gaining this knowledge, you start becoming more and more objective to others around you, their actions, their perceptions, and also slowly to your own actions, perceptions and everything. So this itself, you are basically separating the self from the non-self. Are you with me? So then what is happening is your self is now expanding. Earlier you were just contracted self. Just this I. Now it's expanding to family, to friends, to countrymen, to slowly others, human beings and other species. So as the self starts expanding, then you said no, it's so difficult now. That difficulty will not be there. Because now your self itself is expanding. So what difference does it make if I put some 2,000 rupees from this pocket to that pocket? You understand? So, since you asked the question with reference to that example, I am answering that from that angle. So, the self has to expand. The self will expand only if you give it the heat of knowledge. Slowly when you give the heat of knowledge, over a period of time the self expands. Today is too contracted. It is all just me. That's why we feel very difficult to give it. Somebody is asking, you have extra, but why you are finding it difficult? The self is so gross today. It's not expanded. See, when the self is expanded so much, there are people who have nothing, yet whatever little they get, sometimes that also they give away. They are able to give away. Why? Because the self is expanded. So all these practices are for the expansion of the self. Nothing else. That
When you say expansion of self, it means understanding the self more and more and negating the I.
Correct. The false I.
The false
Correct. When you begin to understand your true self, you thereafter cannot put yourself only in this, what do you call, a body. You will not
So
look
we
at yourself
understand
just as
the
this
self,
body.
You said not intellectually. We cannot understand it intellectually.
See, you cannot understand the Atma intellectually.
Okay.
Right? But there are so many pointers given. Those you can intellectually reflect. As you intellectually start reflecting on those pointers, which is given in the Shastras, your identification with the body will go away slowly. Then it will come to mind, that also will go away. Then it will come to intellect, that also will go away. That's what will happen. That is what I call as expansion of the self.
But we can experientially feel the self expanding,
Yes,
not
of-
through the intellect.
No, you definitely can understand and feel that you are evolving from compared to the person what you were before. That obviously you can. Things, that was affecting you earlier is not affecting you anymore. And you had very little identification with other species. Now you identify with other species also. Nobody told you to follow certain food habits or whatever. Now because of this, you do not want to unnecessarily hurt other beings just to fulfill the palate. So you have, out of your own choice, do certain things. What is that? And obviously it's due to the awareness, no? So when such a person, through knowledge expands, obviously he will know, he or she will know that the expansion of self is happening. Next shloka, 17.
कुरुते गंगा सागर गमनं व्रत परिपालनमथवा दानं ज्ञानविहीन सर्वमतेन मुक्तिं न भजति जन्मशतेन.
One proceeds where Ganges meets the ocean. Ganges meeting the ocean supposed to be a very auspicious place. What is that symbolizes? The individual merging with the total. As Ganges, it has its own identity. But when it merges with the ocean, it loses its identity and gains the ocean's identity. So one proceeds where Ganges meets ocean. He's talking about pilgrimage, religious practices, strictly observes vows, or is charitable. During this Navratra time and all, you will see a lot of people distributing food, etc. Doing a lot of charity in Delhi, isn't it? In many places you see people doing charity. Religiously they follow. So, religious practices basically is talking about. One proceeds where Ganges meets ocean, strictly observes vows, Ekadashi Vrata, There are people who on Ekadashi don't eat, don't drink water also. Sorry, the whole day. Nirjala Upavas they practice. Like that he is talking about certain vows they strictly follow, and then they are giving a lot of dhanam, charity. And he says, 100 lives thus. 100 means not 100, 100 means any number of lives thus. Innumerable lives thus. Bereft of knowledge, without knowledge, is no way to liberation by all beliefs. Sarva matena. All masters are of the same opinion that what will help you is only knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Otherwise, it's very simple. Now book your tickets to pilgrimage package, and then go on the pilgrimage. Simply just go on the pilgrimage and come. You will be realized. Does it happen like that? While going on the pilgrimage and all that helps, it's very helpful. See, there's a Swami whom I know. I know means not personally, I know of. From Tamil Nadu. He takes a group of people every year on different pilgrimage tour. Hundreds and thousands of people go with him. A very big group. Now, for example, he takes them on one pilgrimage, the route that Lord Rama followed, when he was when he was asked to go to forest. For 14 years he spent. So the route he was going, in that route they travel. And not only that, they travel in the route, and certain places they stay and they discuss Ramayana. It's a very nice thing. It's a fascinating, it's very good if you can go through those kind of experiences and purify your personality. It's helpful. But ultimately, after purification, you need knowledge. If you merely follow rituals, pilgrimages, all these religious practices mechanically, without understanding why you are doing it, and also without knowledge of the self, it will not help. Forget about knowledge of the self. Even certain practices, why people do, nobody understands. Mechanically they follow. Why do we break a coconut in the mandir? Why do you need to light a camphor? Nobody asks any question, just mechanically do it.
But Guruji, when we do mala jap, it's the same mechanical ritual.
No,
Is
it's
it?
the same means I don't know how you do. There are people who do mechanical, there are people who do properly.
Okay.
Vedanta is saying don't do it mechanically, that's all. It doesn't mean everybody is doing mechanically. There are people who may do it correctly also. Who are we to say that everybody is doing mechanically? But all he is trying to say is don't do things mechanically. And my grandfather did, my father did, so I am also doing. For what? There are certain people in their, rituals. They have some thing like animal sacrifice. Okay. Now, grandfather's time or before that onwards, they are probably doing in some family. So, they also will have to do. Now, I am not saying do or don't do. But don't do it just because they were doing it. Anything, Why you want to follow things mechanically? You've been provided with the intellect to ask questions. See what you want to do. Why you want to really follow things mechanically? Lot of these places where people go on pilgrimages or even charity, when they do mechanically, you actually spoil that place. We had also gone on a retreat once, many years ago, maybe 10 years ago, to Varanasi. A group of people came with me We all went and stayed in a hotel there, and we had some text we covered. We went there for 3 or 4 days. We had lectures in the morning, evening, group discussions. And then of course we went to the temple also, we went to the Ganges, we had a boat ride, everything. But so there was one gentleman, he was from South India. He said, sir, I definitely want to come for this retreat. And he was asking me, sir, will you take us to Ganges there? I said, of course, one day we'll go to Ganges also. It's not like throughout the day we are studying, right? We have maybe 2 lectures in the morning, to 1 lecture in the evening and group discussion. So a lot of time is there, in between to go to temple, Ganges, etc. So I said, yeah, we will be going. He said, no, because I've never been there. I've been waiting to go to Varanasi. I want to take a dip there. I said, yeah, please come. You will not believe. He came prepared. He came with his shorts and everything. He was ready. But after coming there, he did not take a dip.
Why?
He said, sir, this water is so dirty. How can I dip in this?
Yeah.
There are so many people dipping, doing, they are comfortable. But he said no. He didn't do. I don't know, he was not able to do it, he didn't do. Right? So what I am trying to say is, you have this faith, we believe so many people have had this faith. It's good, fine. You want to take a dip, fine, go take a dip. But keep it clean, na? We are saying it's so auspicious, but we destroy, we put so much dirt there. In places of worship, you go to the mandir and see how much dirty we keep it. Isn't it? Everywhere. Similarly, charity. I said, no, during this Navratra, I've seen so many people giving food and all.
Yeah.
So many people take food, fine, it's very good. But then, on the side of the road, one side of the road they do, and then there is traffic jam, and forget that. After eating or as they're eating, so many things are thrown around.
Yeah.
Now, what are we doing in the scriptures? It is talking about shaucham, purity, goes on talking about. Right? And all these are done to bring about the inner purity.
Yeah.
Right? When we are not even aware of the external purity, how we are going to bring about inner purity?
We are working on our karmas. When we do charity, we feel we are doing a good karma.
That is what I am saying. Everybody is doing, not everybody, majority is doing mechanically.
Yeah.
Why you want to do this mechanically? So, this is what he is saying. You are one side calling it as auspicious, and the other side you are only making it so dirty, the whole experience. It's so mechanical. You understand? So therefore, it doesn't matter, man, how many times you do 100 lives like this. If you lead, keep on going to all these pilgrimages, per se nothing will happen. There is not going to be any transformation happening within. You are there, yet you are not there. That is the point. You are still, really understanding what is the essence of the Shastras. Otherwise, it's very simple. They'll say, okay, at this age you do this, at this age you do this. When you are old or something, you go on pilgrimages. Fine. There are people who are very happy. I've been following religious practices regularly. I am fine. And for example, lighting the lamp in the evening, it's traditionally practiced in many houses, right? Which is okay, good, very good. Now, they will be so particular about that, lighting the lamp. There may be another person in the same family who may not light the lamp, but every day that person is sitting, reflecting on the knowledge, scriptures in the early hours of the day, and then doing a lot of charity, genuinely helping people, they'll say, hey, what this fellow is not spiritual because he's not lighting the lamp. Simply because he's not lighting the lamp, he is not spiritual. And simply because you are lighting the lamp, you are spiritual. On what basis we say this? That's why he says 100 lives. Doesn't matter how many lives you take, man. Janma Shatena. 100 lives you take, nothing will not happen. Till you realize it from within. Why am I doing it? If that bhav is not coming through, as you're offering the flower at the feet of the Lord, what is the use? You want to just finish off chanting certain shlokas before that time. So you run like hell. What is the use? See, when you are in a hurry, you can never meet Hari. Please understand this. If we are so much in a hurry, you can never meet Hari. Hari means the Lord, the divinity within. The mind is running. So all these are these practices are driven by the mind. It will not work. And these practices are supported by the buddhi. There will be awareness. That is what is going to bring about the change. When you are asking for forgiveness, let's say, if you are genuinely asking for forgiveness, then you won't do it again. Like in Christian faith, they have this belief, no? You go and submit to the father in the church that I did this, and then he says, forgive, you are forgiven. Confessions, you are forgiven. Now, it's a very good, it's a beautiful thing if you genuinely have, changed. But if you don't understand it that way, you say, I have confessed, and then you come and do another murder. Confession means you have come to a stage where you can never murder anybody in your life thereafter. Isn't it? Thereafter it's impossible. That is confession. But this kind of confession is nonsense. Okay, एक murder, एक confession हो गया, उसको बराबर हो गया. Now next के लिए तैयार हो रहा है. What nonsense is this? This is not what Jesus Christ said. Right? No master will say that. How can they say that? It is transformation. The moment you bring in Bhagwan. So as you bring in Bhagwan, the I is dissolving. These practices are not meant for that only. No, when you are doing charity, you are giving them the plate, you are serving them food. What is the bhav? Bhagwan is giving it through you. That should be the bhav. Right? So we also had a retreat on Vishnu Sahasranama. Traditionally when they do properly, the people who come to attend the retreats, as they come in, the people who organize, they wash their feet and all. What is all this? It's being in the spirit of divinity. And that burns the association with I. That's why these practices. But when we are doing this practice itself, I is so much. I have been doing it for 20 years. I have done it, with so many people. We did charity for 1,000 people. You did only for 200 people. What now? Whether you give one person or 1,000 people, idea is to dissolve the I. But now the I is more in forefront than anything else. Then how is it going to help you? Are you with me? So mechanically we do. Whether it is lighting a camphor or agarbatti or puja, chanting of shlokas, mantras, everything people do mechanically. That's why I said, you go to a pilgrimage, you don't even understand that there are so many people like you who are coming. So you should keep the place clean. If you are in such gross ignorance, how can there be awareness coming out through you? You are not even aware of the external cleanliness. There is no shaucham at the external level. How can there be shaucham at the internal level? How are you going to look at the desires and then eliminate them? The grass, dirt you are not able to see. You are very comfortable, we get used to it. So temple is a place where God is residing as it were, right? Now the way we are keeping it, what is going on? So therefore he says 100 lives thus bereft of knowledge, mechanical existence is not going to help. Mechanical following of rituals is not going to help. And also secondly, just doing rituals without the knowledge of the self is not going to help. And that is what he wants to say here, very importantly. Is no way to liberation by all beliefs. You are not going to attain moksha this way. There is no dearth for temples. There is no dearth for pujas. There is no dearth for knowledge also, information also. Seldom you find a person who takes it up with a proper attitude. And that is what he says. It is in no way going to help you to become free. Because it's not the external things that can bring you the freedom. It's your mamatvam that is binding you. So you got to free yourself from the mamatvam. Why charity is recommended? To get rid of the mamatvam. Tera tujhko arpan kya lage mera. With that bhav. And do with that bhav, the mamatvam reduces. Agar that bhav is not there, how will the mamatvam reduce? This is not going to help. It's not like you have a list of things and you just tick it off one by one. Oh, ye ho gaya, ye ho gaya, ye ho gaya. Oh, bahut acha. Subah se sham, pura din I've been religious. Ho gaya. Morning I prayed to Vishnu. Evening, afternoon I pray to Brahmaji. Night I will pray to Shiva. Ho gaya. It's not like that. So I tick off all the Trimurtis. So that is why he says 100 lives. Doesn't you keep on doing it, it's not going to help you. It doesn't matter how long you do a thing. What matters is how you do it. What matters is how you do it. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. What matters is how you do it. Even once genuinely from the bottom of your heart, if you say thanks or sorry, if a person starts having that gratitude from the bottom of his heart, he or she cannot be a taker thereafter. Not possible. You say thank you and then you keep on taking. That means you are not really understanding it and then saying thanks. Just verbally you are saying thanks. That's not going to work. See, in other words, you can continue to be in the so-called spiritual environment and need not be spiritual. Now this is in fact is more, the difficult thing to cross over. Because Externally, you will say, अरे यार मैंने सारा practice ही कर रहा हूँ. I am following all the religious vows. I am doing charity and puja part, सब कुछ कर रहा हूँ. So you think you are on the right track. So it's even more difficult for that person to get out. You understand? Because externally he is doing everything. And then he thinks he is on the right track. But he may still be lurking in ignorance. So therefore, he says, bereft of knowledge. That's the most important sentence here. Hundreds lives like this, following all the religious practices mechanically, without knowledge will not give you moksha, liberation.
So Guruji, when we get so scared that we haven't done so and so thing, a ritual which should be done, something bad will come on to us. So all that is just a projection for us.
Yes, all that is your mind.
Without mindless projections.
Yeah.
God is not sitting there judging us and you didn't do this ritual and you were supposed to. And
Yes. But you will not be against any rituals. You understand that they are meant for certain purification process.
Okay.
You didn't do it, okay. Whatever you can do now, you do. For the purification process only, nothing else. You understand? So that's okay. Oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Nothing will happen. Don't worry. You can
Like
say,
if I have a routine of reading certain scriptures every day, 2 days, 3 days I don't do, then I get upset. Oh, my routine has broken. I should have done it. I should have been more conscious.
there are two things. One is you have not done it in the past. Now what you can do about it? Okay. From now on, at least follow things correctly. A routine of studying or doing puja, whatever it is, do that. We are not saying don't do, but we are just saying don't do it mechanically. But sitting and crying over what you did not do in the past, how is it going to help you?
Because then there is a fear. Oh, I should have done it. I missed it.
I didn't do it.
Okay.
I didn't do this puja. Will there be some bad things happening in my life?
Yeah.
Understand? You should not give yourself to tamas or rajas. Okay, you found that I have given myself to tamas in certain areas. What do you do when you see some dirt in some corner of the room? Take the broomstick and clean it. Similarly, you found out in the past I have neglected doing certain duties of mine, spiritual duties of mine. Okay, what do? Immediately start doing it from now. Instead of sitting and crying, Arey, ho gaya, what will happen? Oh, Bhagwan, please make sure you don't give me any bad karma. I'll let you forget. Even if some bad karma has to come, let it come. Because ho gaya na. You understand? What's the point in sitting and crying about it? There's no point sitting and crying about it. So let's conclude now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti